for like the reasons you would think, which included him going, hit me. You want to hit me? Like, he challenged me to hit him. I was like, fuck no. I've seen you hit people in movies. You hit back. So aside from that moment, it was really this. This is, I've thought about it. I've had a few years to process it, because it was such a weird moment for me that I walked away from movie making, because I was like, if this is fucking what it's like to get to the top, if this is who you deal with at the top, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, forget it. Like, this is the end game, and this is like the prize. Fuck it, man. And rather than go back and make the movies that I wanted to make, I just walked away instead. So that, what really disillusioned me was this. I've had some time to think about it. Nobody ever really got through that was a paycheck player before. Everybody that I made a movie with loved being there, wanted to be there and stuff. And this was the only guy that was there for a paycheck. And I think that's what like bugged me the most. And it shouldn't. It's a business. Some people do it just for the paycheck and whatnot. But you know, when they do it, they actually do it. They don't phone it in and shit. So hands down, I would say that guy. But it's in the. I don't wish him poorly or anything like that. You know, I just never want to be near him ever again. You know what really sucked about, honestly, was I was a huge Moonlighting fan and a huge Die Hard fan, and would watch them multiple times every year, and after Cop Out, I dropped them in the garbage and shit like that, because I knew I'd never look at them again. Bummer. Anyway, fuck that. That's in the past. Ask me a happy question.
Okay. Which is your favorite of your own movies?
Oh, that's, alright, that's fine. Let's see, what is the one I like the most? And I mean, of course, naturally, I want to say Tusk, because it's the movie we just made, and I feel Tusk is the best film I ever made. But honestly, it might be Clerks 2. I love Clerks 2 very dearly. Some people do. Some people think it's an inferior sequel to the original, and I'm like, did you see the original? But yeah, I love it. It stood for so much. And after we made it, aside from making the movie and saying what I wanted to say, years later it re-gifted me, because it was Dante and Randall. It was like I was watching the movie one night, man, because I love that monologue that Jeff Anderson gives in the jail cell. I think he crushed it, man. And it was that moment, I always love that moment in the movie where Randall's like, I bought a quick stop and reopen it myself. And it took me years to figure out that that's what I wanted to do too. I wrote it into those characters and stuff, and I would be so happy when I watched the movie going, oh, it worked out for these guys, like they're real, and like I didn't write it or something. And then it took me years later, I figured out, oh shit, all I wanted to do is buy the quick stop, so to speak, and reopen it myself. Like, I'd price myself out of doing anything interesting, making interesting movies, because you work in the movie business long enough, they pre-negotiate your salaries and shit like that. It's not a bad thing, it's a wonderful thing. You know what you're gonna make from movie to movie, but I don't make movies that like pay out, man. I make very weird movies that, like, if they work, yay, but they're not guaranteed to work. I'm not a mainstream guy. So generally speaking, give a person like me very little money. You know, I'll be creative as fuck with very little money, necessity being the mother of invention. But if you give me a lot of money and stuff, then there's pressure to deliver. And I don't come from that world, man. The people that I'm from, we never deliver, ever, ever. Like, my father would be like, son, you see that mountain? Never climb it. What's the fucking point? Someone will take a picture and send it down. Like, so I don't come from like adventurous people and shit like that at all. And when shit worked out for me with the first movie, it was great, and it kickstarted a career and whatnot. But after a while, I started making less and less interesting films for two reasons. One, I priced myself out of doing interesting things by having the salary I had. And two, honestly, like, I ran out of like shit to say. Like, those movies, you look at the early movies, like Clerks, Mars, Chasing Amy Dog, all that shit. And Jane Silent Bob Strike Back, Clerks 2 especially, not movies really. And believe me, every critic in the world will be like, he's right, he's finally admitting it. They're not movies as much as like, it was me pulling out fatty chunks of my heart, sticking on two platters, projecting it, and being like, what do you think? You know, they're blogs. They're me trying to communicate. It's me trying to say, does anyone out there feel this way? And blah, blah, blah. It's me learning my craft. And I was in my 20s, and I was at my most raw, and anything I felt, I put right into the scripts and whatnot. So that was me at my choice and shit, my best. But then I like got happy. Like, Chasing Amy comes from a miserable place and stuff. And everyone's like, you should do another Chasing Amy. I'm like, no, I'd rather be happy and shit. In order for me to make another Chasing Amy, my wife would have to do something miserable to me and stuff. So I got married, I've got a kid, life's pretty good, like I got no complaints. And happy people generally don't make good art and stuff. So I got to a place where I felt ran out of shit to say because I didn't have any personal story to tell. Like, you know, I was done talking about working in the convenience store because I'd said everything. I was, you know, done talking about male insecurity by way of chasing him. I was done talking about religion by way of dogma, and then later on red state to some degree and stuff. So, you know, I just kind of like priced myself out of saying interesting things, and, you know, it left me in a weird quandary. And then I realized that if I just kind of scale the budgets back, I can say anything I want. Like, I can, as long as the money is very low, you can be interesting again and shit. And so at that point, I was just kind of like, all right, maybe I can try it again. That's what brought me back to it. But it was the thought of like, I can't say anything anymore unless, like, you know, if I was a painter, I could take a canvas, put color on it, and you'd know how I felt. If I was a singer, I'd open my mouth and sing and shit. But I'm a fucking goofy filmmaker, which means, like, I'm the only artist on the planet, that breed of artist, that says, I need to express myself. Give me $20 million and Ben Affleck, you know. That's why I love podcasts, because you can just sit there and pour yourself into it, do whatever you want. It doesn't take any preparation, doesn't take any money and shit. I want to have a conversation, I sit down with you, we start talking, boom, it winds up going places. So I kind of like, aside from the, you know, kind of pricing myself out of doing anything interesting, I was at such peace I had nothing really of interest to say based on the way I used to work. I didn't have something to give them, some piece of my heart to put into the work, because otherwise the work would have said like, life's fucking good when you made Clerks, bitch, woo, you know, and that's, nobody wants to hear that. So at the end of the day, I felt like, oh, I just didn't have anything to say. Then I realized, one day I was sitting there going, well, the movies I loved before I made Clerks and stuff like that were David Lynch